All right, we are live. We are in HD. We should be sounding just fabulous with this microphone. So, back to back weeks, killing the game. I've got a recovery shake here. That's why I'm late by a minute. I'm chugging it. I'm going to tell you that if there was a contest to shotgun smoothies or protein shakes, I'm coming in last place. Yeah, so I got the straw. I tried the chugging method. Neither one of them seemed to be working that great. But how great would it be? I have no coffee. I already have no coffee. Just coming over here. Trying to get that last little resistance slurp. Some ASMR for you sickos. I hate that sound. That sound really bothers me, but my wife likes it. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night. She's put on some ASMR, and it's like people like whispering or talking like really softly, and then also eating food and stuff. And so like I wake up in a panic. I'm like, who's eating food in my bedroom in the middle of the night? Anyway, let's talk running. Let's talk running shoes. Let's talk a bunch of stuff. How was your run today, everybody? all, all five of you. How was your run? What was the run? Is it cold where you're at? It's cold here again in San Antonio. We've got our last bit of winter, wee bit of winter. So the feels like was down to 7 degrees because there are 20-mile-an-hour winds. But I think it's 20 degrees. It gets like this for a couple weeks. And I put on my long tights. Man, I should have been more prepared. I have exactly 2 pairs of long tights, some Under Armour ones, and then these other ones, Way of Life Athletic Company, Wallaco. I like those because they have many pockets. They have pockets like around the waist as well. So I took those on my last long run, and I had like 7 or 8 gels. I had way too many gels. I did have to tie them down though, so they didn't fall off me. So let me see here. My wife's texting me. She wants me to call her, but I got to tell her we're doing the stream. All right. Yeah, so it's cold. We had a workout. What was your run today? Let me know in the comments, in the chat, if you're getting out there hitting the streets. We had a 5K, 5 by 1K at 10K pace, followed by a 5 by 400 at 5K pace. I had the option of doing it yesterday when it was 50 degrees, maybe 55, a little humid, or today. And I thought, oh, I'll do it when it's colder because it'll feel better. And this morning, I realized my mistake. It was so cold, and my hands. I had gloves, but I think I'm gonna need some heavy duty gloves because my hands are pretty cold in the Austin International half. That was feels like 11 or 17 or something like that, and it was pretty cold. But yeah, it was pretty brutal. Anyway, the workout went well. It was one of those where looking at it after I run by effort and then looking at all the splits afterwards, um, I realized I'm not that fat. I don't think that was actually 10K pace because that 10K pace, they were like 1Ks at 323. And on Strava, Strava doesn't really care if you're in a race or not. It'll tell you what your best effort is across time and space. You go from point A to point B. It's not official. There's no chip time. That's what you get. And so the 1K time was the third fastest I'd ever done. So looking at that back to back, I ran the same 1K. So I'm like, okay, it's repeatable. Is that really 10K pace? I think that would put me like in a like 239 shape or like sub 240. That's not me. So I don't know. Just when I don't have a lot of experience running in super cold weather, do you run faster in colder weather? Like, is it anger, stored anger? Am I angry at the wind? Like, am I pissed off? God, I could do a fourth step on Mother Nature afterwards and like write my resentments down. I don't know. It was helping me. I don't know. And then the 5K reps were in the one teens, like 1, 17, 119, 115, 119, something like that. Anyway, I'm trying this year. I'm not looking at all those splits in too much detail. I'm acknowledging them and I just keep running and I'm letting whatever I run in a race tell me what shape I'm actually in versus diving too deep into the heart rate data and all of that stuff. By the way, this Garmin, this is a 245. I'm replacing it today. Might be my last day with it. I've had it for 3 years. Santa Claus brought it. This is my homie, and it needs a charge almost every day to every other day. And I heard Garmin's get like that, and then they switch. So I'm switching to Coros. I reached out to Coros, at some contact information I had from them. They never reached back. I'm like the last guy on YouTube. It's Coros doesn't sponsor, but I'll still do the Coros fitness test. I got the Pace 3 and I'll shoot some content on it. This course knows I'm still going to promote him, even though I'm not a sponsored athlete. Philip Watts is in here. He says, ran a 21:58 PB 5K Saturday, 15 degrees this morning, and was fully bundled up with hat and gloves and a racing jacket for 400 intervals. Awesome. This is the bell that I'm ringing for you, Philip Watts. That's sick. That's sick. What pace is that? That's low sevens. That's fast. Man. Yeah, I have a beanie, but then I also have a head warmer. So a head warmer, then a beanie. I had this long sleeve on. I have a Believe in the Run, or no, like a Marine Corps marathon long sleeve on top of it from that race, and then a jacket. And then I warm up and I start to slowly just peel the layers off, always keeping the gloves. And then I do like tights and then long tights and then shorts. We're not messing around here. So hope the 400s went well. You're right back at it. All right. So this is the last week of 2 workouts. I think I have some like 10-second hill sprints in a couple of days. And then next week we're switching to the marathon specific training block that gets 8 weeks. So it's like 6 weeks of long runs and marathon specific workouts. That's it. And then a 2-week taper. So just like, it's pretty crazy to me, but I overdid it last time. So I'm trying to underdo it this time. And I think that would be, hopefully we'll hit the spot there. But I did ask coach, I said, hey, instead of whatever you would normally prescribe for me for the Wednesday Whopper next week, can we just do this Coros test? So the Coros test is like 25 minutes of marathon pace, followed by 3 minutes of threshold, or maybe like 10K pace, and then 3 minutes of 5K pace, and then 3 minutes of mile pace. And then it's trying to calibrate your fitness to know where you're at, and it'll give you prediction times, which I will completely ignore, but I want to compare it to Garmin, and I want to compare it to CR plots and run Kaizen. Sorry, my throat and my lungs have not healed from this morning. Yeah, so Garmin has me at a 17:15 5K, 36:21 10K, 1:20:34 half, and a 2:52:55 for the marathon. One thing I don't get about these race predictors is that they don't adjust when you run a race. So then, like, you just ran a race and proved what you are capable of doing, and it's like, nah, fam, you still can't do that. You're not capable. It's like I just ran that. So I think I looked at this a few days ago and it said 1:20:35 for the half, which is exactly what I ran. So the Garmin's catching up on the race predictor. But anyway, Panos is in here. What's up, Panos? He says, hi, everyone. Congrats on your PB fill up. Panos, hope you're doing well, man. All right. So we are going to talk running shoes. This is called Running Talk. We're supposed to talk running shoes. I need to make a lot more shorts for this channel to help grow it, so we get more friends in here, and specifically running shoe content. A lot has gone on. A lot has gone on in the last couple of weeks with running shoes. I want to talk about all of that, and I'm going to frame it with, this is like my current running shoe rotation. Should have brought all my running shoes here. And then some of them are around. Well, I had a box. What's in the box? Yeah, my box is downstairs. Someone sent me a box. Maybe we'll go get it later. I'll take a potty break. It's funny when you have kids and you just keep saying terms that kids say. You know, you don't say bar for vomit. You're like throw up. Oh, there's some throw up over here. You know, there's do you have to go potty, babe? Hey, babe, do you have to go potty? Like just in public. There's no, the filter doesn't go in it. And like when you're in the weeds, like when the kids are real little, like you got 2 under 5, and you're just trying to have a conversation with somebody in public and they're having a serious thought and they're talking to you, and just like in your head, you've got like hot dog, hot diggity dog, dun, 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 dun. It's like Mickey just going ham. Yeah, like it's like trying to be serious. It's like I really just need to sleep it off. Panos is in here. He says, speaking of shorts, I don't watch them usually, but I caught one of yours today with some great running advice. Yeah. So I forget that Threads is there. It's a thing. Threads. It's the Twitter or X of Instagram. And I signed up for it a long time ago, and then I'll see it. And then I'm like, oh, I better post on it and say something. So I had this advice, which was that if spoiler alert, if you do see the short, you know, don't be afraid to hit the like. But I just said, like, if you want to run a half marathon in under 2 hours, I think it's probably advisable that you run a whole marathon under 2 hours first, and then that way, when you run the half marathon under 2, it'll feel much easier. So I'm going to put more advice like that out. Just now that I'm my certified coach or RCA, they're gonna take away my certification, and you'll be like, look, you can't joke like that. People will believe you. So stop. You're no longer certified. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna make shorts. I'm gonna make shorts for this channel, but it's all gonna be centered around shoe content. So yeah. Let's see, Philip Watts is in here. He says, thank you. Running a 10K in March, 10 miler in June, 12 miler in August, working up to the half in September, and marathon Thanksgiving. Nice. Doing it the right way, working in the speed and just working in the endurance later. That's awesome. All right. So for the shoes, by the way, this Sunday on the other channel for Midlife Runner, there'll be the 200-mile review of the ASICS Metaspeed Edge Paris. We'll just start this running shoe rotation with the recovery shoes. So I use 2 shoes for recovery. It's like recovery A and recovery B. For recovery A, which I will call the structured recovery shoe, I use the On Cloud Eclipse. I think last week I called it a little Toyota Tundra. It's a little tugboat. It's got a very nice roll through, and it's just soft enough. And it's big enough to where I'm not encouraged to want to pick up the pace in the shoe. I can land heel to toe anywhere on that shoe. I really enjoy it. I also really like that shoe for the dad drip, just walking around, flexing on people. Because when you wear On, you're telling people it's an S class. Yeah, I got money because On don't do sales. So if you see me in the Ons, you know I'm about it. The other shoe that I'm running in for recovery, actually a lot more. I probably only have 30 plus miles in the On shoe, but is the Neo Zen, the Mizuno Neo Zen. I have 84, 85 miles in maybe. And that shoe is the shoe. That shoe that like I keep reaching for. So when I got it from a 9.5 down to a size 9, it does feel less boat-like and it feels really different. And this is the unstructured recovery shoe of choice. It's the soft recovery shoe. I don't always like soft shoes on recovery days. I've said this before, but like when I'm out there on a run and I can feel the foam collapsing one way or another, and my body's fatigued. That's why I'm running recovery. I want something a little bit more supportive sometimes That's where I do the unclouded clips. But if I'm feeling fine and I just need to run easy, super recovery, I'll do the Neo Zen because the Neo Zen is soft in the midfoot to forefoot. So I should make a running shoe rotation for midfooters, like my midfoot shoes of choice. If I was doing the running shoe rotation, and the Neo Zen would be the recovery midfoot choice because it's soft and it's still bouncy, but it's not too bouncy. And when you see a lot of advertised soft shoes, the Mag Max, the Mad Max, like all those, the Pegasus Premium, for example. Oh, it's so bouncy, but hey, it's not a fast shoe. It's heavy, but yeah, it's super nice and bouncy for heel strikers. But it is firm AF mid to forefoot. It's a firm shoe. It's a firm shoe. And a lot of shoes are like that. Even if they're like, hey, this one's plush. Like my shoes I'm wearing right now, I wear gym shoes, the Rebel V3. The one I'm wearing right now is the Nike Vomero 16. Couple of years ago, got it for 50 bucks. It's plush in the heel, the heel collar, the tongue, but it's got a firm forefoot. It's like if I went for a run in this shoe, like I would get a lot of ground contact feel. So I wouldn't want necessarily to use this shoe for my recovery runs, but it is still a comfortable shoe. That's not the case with the Neo Zen. The Neo Zen is actually soft in the mid to forefoot. So that's my recovery shoe. And that's the shoe that I keep running, like reaching for. So I've also racked up in the daily trainer. So for my daily trainer category of shoes, I've been rolling Neo Zen, just been reaching for that one constantly. Let's see. And the other shoe in that category is the Hyperion Max 1. So the Neo, like daily trainer, I also would go daily trainer A, daily trainer B. So like daily trainer A, I'm just out there ignoring my run. I'm listening to Yawanda breathe in between intervals. I just set this playlist and I go, I don't even touch it. It's in my pocket. So I'm good for watch time hours. If you're a YouTube content creator and I'm out on the run, I'm giving you every second. I don't switch. I just listen. So that means Yawanda gets every bit of what I listen to. When I'm on those runs, I don't think about the shoe usually. I don't even think about running. I don't think about my pace. I'm just like in an automatic, little bit more than a jog, but I'm not leaning forward. I'm just going. This would be like the place of a workhorse shoe. I have been using the Neo Zen for that as well. Then there's Daily Trainer B. This is steezy. This is still easy, but I'm feeling frisky. Maybe it's a little cold outside, whatever. I don't know. I'm ready to go. And for that, I've been using the Hyperion Max 1. I said I've been using that. To be honest, there isn't a lot of room in a marathon block or in doing 2 workouts a week and speed training for those type of runs because I'm usually doing recovery after those runs. And then there's another one of those runs. And then I'm doing recovery. And then there's like maybe 1 day a week where I can do that, but for a long run. So I've used the Hyperion Max 1 twice. Let's hop in the comments here. Philip Watt says, I have some endurance. Ran on a flat trail yesterday, a half under 2 hours at 8:45 pace. I've been running on and off for 10 years. This is the first year I decided to race. Awesome. That's awesome. JBS is in here. JBS. Interesting. Hyperion Max 1 and Hyperion 2 is a solid daily mid distance. Yeah, so on those two that I mentioned, if we're talking about the midfoot striker's dream shoe rotation, the Hyperion Max 1 and the update to that's the Hyperion 2, though I have not run in that shoe. That's the midfoot striker's dream there. That's the kind of daily trainer. It's also pretty forgettable. It's nice. It's got a good feel, but like you're putting in the work for the shoe. I would imagine I put it on Sagasu came out with the video today. I was watching the Brooks Launch 11. I made a comment that I think after running in the Hyperion Max 1 yesterday, I think he would like that shoe. It would be like right up his alley, or the Hyperion 2. I think he would do well. He would like that. But Philip Watts says heel striker from recovery to race. All right, here's the heel strikers lineup: Glycerin Max, the Glizzy Max, the Saucony Hurricane 24, the Nova Blast, the New Balance SE Trainer V4, and the Brooks Hyperion Max 2. Did a 5K in it, and the Super Blast 2. Sweet. I do have an update. The Pegasus Premium. We didn't sell it, but I did work out a trade. I worked out a trade for the Glizzy Max. So sent that off yesterday. Glizzy Max in the mail. I have no idea. I imagine that will be a recovery shoe. I think it's billed as a recovery shoe. I'm imagining that would replace my structured recovery shoe for the on shoe, and I would just run in that, or we'll see. After Boston, guys, I am going to do this giant math block, this big aerobic base building period. I like the Maffetone method. I like that there's 5-mile tests. There's before and after pictures. Basically, I could shoot some content around it. If I just go for a run every day and I'm like, hey, I'm going to try to run 100 miles this week, you guys would be like, okay. I mean, you guys are the real ones. You're here on this older channel watching this stuff. So maybe like you guys would watch, but like I'm probably going to do that. Anyway, when I do those 100-mile weeks and when I try to take my aerobic base to places it's never imagined it would go, I'm going to just rack up tons of miles. I'll finally get the Primex Strung to 1,000 miles. I'll probably put a ton of miles in the Glizzy Max and also another shoe, which we're going to talk about here in just a second. Okay, so the other shoe that's kind of in no man's land, it's in my rotation, but I'm alternating it with the Hyperion Max 1, is the Evo SL. So I did 10 miles yesterday, and I did 5 miles in the Glycerin Max 1, and I did 5 miles in the Evo SL, and I wanted to compare them because they're both very good at that steezy, steady, easy kind of pace. But I haven't been able to wear the Evo SL, and I don't really hear anybody talk about this, but it is so darn breathable that I feel like my toes are going to fall off. Sorry, guys. When I got the Evo SL in, it was winter phase 1 in San Antonio. So 30 degrees. Usually there doesn't snow down here. And the air was just like my toes were going to fall off. I tried like 3 different times. And every time I had to go in and change the tires and swap for something else. And I knew that it was going to be cold today. So I ran in them yesterday. And so there are some differences. And I would say that the Evo SL also would fall into the mid-foot to forefoot strikers dream rotation. And if I had to pick, I would put the Zen for my recovery, the Hyperion Max 1 for my daily training, and the Evo SL for like the other daily trainer that would be like the Steezy. Or if I wanted to do tempo, but I was one of those purist runners, like a real runner. And it's like, I don't do plates when I run fast. I don't believe in carbon. I don't believe in nylon. I just got to keep it pure. Then I would do the Evo SL. It would be good for that. So, and I'm interested to see how the Evo SL is going to turn and change, because that version of Light Strike Pro really does transform after 50 miles or so. So that's my take on that. All right, let's see. All right, for the threshold, I have been using the Zoom Fly 6. Man, I've got about 50 miles in the shoe. I use it every week, once a week. For my threshold run, some So I guess it's every other week because right now what it's like a 2-week block, and there's usually like one threshold run with some another run in that week that's very fast. The next week there's also a faster run like today with like 10K work and 5K work inside the one run. And then in a couple days I have hills. So the threshold maybe once every other week right now also, or sometimes it gets put into the long run. So anyway, been using the Zoomfly 6 for those runs. JBS is in here. He says, enjoy the Glissy Max midfoot striker here. And it's my sub 127 beats per minute shoe. Those peeps that say it's also good for paces. Yeah, good luck with that. Yeah, I know a lot of shoes get built like a lot of different ways, and like technically you can, like the Noble Blast used to be this really fun shoe, and like the number one, yeah, I think I ran a mile PR in that, and then I ran like easy, and I could run like for 2 hours. I love the Nova Blast one. And then like 2 is bouncy. There's 3. It's like, okay, they're still building like Nova Blast. You could pick it up, but also it's good. And like by the time, I don't know, I can't speak to the 5, but 4 was a cruiser. Like Cadillac is very smooth. I could probably get up to like marathon pace, and feels decent. And but I wouldn't. And now it's like I have a shoe problem, and I got a thousand. That's like literally right now. I'm telling you about like all these 40 shoes that I'm running in. So like I'm not gonna do the one shoe to run them all. However, someone did reach out. They're like, "Hey, I'm going to be in Greece for X amount of time. I need one shoe for this trip. And these are the types of runs that I'm going to do. What shoe should I get?" And then now versatility matters. And I think she said last time she did this, she took the SC Trainer V2, which I think is a great option because a lot of people use that for daily, but I use that for 5K workouts also, because that's a versatile shoe. It's bouncy and it could do a lot of stuff. So, but I mean, if you find a really versatile shoe, then it would apply because you're on this trip where you're only doing one. As it stands, I have a million shoes. That sounded really douchey. Oh, a million shoes. So I don't just have to do that. So Zoomfly 6 threshold interval shoe. I'm going to Takumi Sen 10, which I ran in today. That's got 90 miles, which means next week we'll probably hit 100. Okay. So I just came for my run. And then in a workout, I also did a lift. Did some jump rope and some deadlifts, and then ran out of time. Then I made this smoothie that I'm ignoring right now, this protein shake. Takumi Sen 10, we talked about it last time. We talk about it every time. For the sake of Matt Beyer, it's a dynasty. The 8, the 9, the 10. I saw Connor from Running Warehouse today talking about the Streakfly 2. I imagine Sagasu will have that in for testing before anybody else. That he's working with Nike, and he'll make some content on it, lots of content. This looks like the closest competitor to the Takumi Sen. It looks like an upgrade significantly from the first Streakfly. I am looking forward to seeing how, like, I might just get it on principle to see, like, I got to know what it feels like. Good news, bad news, bad news. So it's like good news, bad news, bad news. 2 wrongs do not make a right. Anyway, good news is it looks phenomenal. The bad news is Connor says there's extremely limited quantity. Why does Nike got to do that? They got to do that to us every time. Either bots buy them all out. I mean, I have a couple of, like, I wouldn't say underground sites, but I have a couple of sites that are less traversed that I can usually sneak on and try to get. I don't even go to Nike or Dick's or any of the other more popular sites because they sell out immediately. And some of us work for a living, so I'm not around at 9 in the morning whenever it drops to like buy it immediately. But I am interested in trying that on the Streakfly. I thought that was interesting. The other bad news is probably going to be 180. I feel like they're going to go 190. I feel like maybe even 200 because New Balance last year, New Balance with the SC Pesa Version 2, they went 200. They went to what are those Franklins? You don't know. They went big, and I think that Nike's going to follow suit, and they're going to just be like, "Yo, New Balance charged this for it, but we're not going to make your feet bleed, so you should pay for it." Philip Watts is in here. He says the Glycerin Max has great cushion with energy return. It may take some experimenting with the laces to get the correct lockdown without blisters rubbing due to the angle of the lacing system. Well, we'll see. I don't think it could be any more more cumbersome than the Skyward X. It's just so much shoe, and then just trying to get that thing down. It was so cavernous, and yet I still had uh, irritation on my arches. So Jason Horner says, I'm picturing you deadlifting while jumping rope double Dutch with the kids. It's one hell of a strength exercise. Yeah, I had to work in the plyos with that. The kids we got a little setup in the garage, and when we used to do CrossFit, they used to take the little 2-pound weights and come down and up and down and up. And now, this is a hack, Jason. I know you got them young. If you paint the walls with like the chalkboard paint, the kids can just chalk all sorts of gibberish and whatever art on the wall while you lift. It gives them something to do. We also put on my wife, she's quite the builder. She put the lights on around the outside, so we had like the strobe light effect, and we just go hard. It turns into a club club CrossFit. So, but yeah, I did deadlifts and went and did some double unders. We'll see how that works. I really am just hoping they don't get injured. I don't even care about getting that much strength. So Matt Byers in here. He says, meeting just ended. Now it's time to mid live. Well, Matt, we already started on the 10. We were just talking about the Takumi Sen 10 and then the Streakfly. I don't know if you made it. By the way, someone put in the comments on that Connor video, they were like, why does he keep saying Streakfly? And then I couldn't unhear it. Just putting that in there. Now you got to go listen to it. So, Jason Horner says that's brilliant. Chalk wall is my next project now. It's so good. Stevie76 is in here. What's up, Stevie? He says, do you have any siblings? Are they runners too? I've got 5 siblings, and so I'm tied for the middle. I'm a twin. I got a twin sister. No, she doesn't look anything like me. No, I don't feel it when she feels something. I did not have to go through pregnancy when she was pregnant, which is good. So I got an older brother. He's like Will from Will Hunting, like 1500s, 1600 SAT, Stanford Law scholarship, lawyer in DC, likes beer and baseball. Just a great dude. Older sister, achiever, same thing, speech and debate. Twin sister, socialite. No running. My brother Keith, he did ROTC. He was in the Air Force. He works at USAA. He's retired Air Force. No running. And then my brother Kyle has run some marathons. My youngest brother is 4 years younger than me, and he lives in DC. And then so he was out there supporting on the Marine Corps, and I think he's run Marine Corps before and Buffalo, because he went to law school in Buffalo. But it was like signed up with his buddies, running enough to try to break 4 hours in the marathon. And he got real inspired. He's a 1-year-old. So he's just starting up the family biz. So I don't know how much time he'll have, but I think he may do it. My mom was a runner. My mom ran in track, and I think there's some sort of running genes that go in. I think it comes from my mom. So there's that. So moving on. Okay, hills. I've never heard anybody be like, this is my shoe just for hills. I don't have a hill shoe. I would probably just use the Takumi Sen 10 for the hills, but I've got all these other shoes that I want to run in that I have that aren't in the rotation. So that's usually like my auxiliary day, where it's like, oh, I want to run in the Rocket X2 or the Puma Deviate Nitro Elite version 3. I think that's the third one. So then I'll just take it out just to as an excuse to run some hills once every 2 weeks. So Frank's in here. Frank LaHoulier, what made you do Buffalo? This is gonna sound so stupid. Maybe it won't, but I watched Nick Bear's sub 245, and this was a few years ago, and it's right where I caught the marathon bug, where I didn't really focus on getting faster necessarily than like, oh, I just sign up for marathons and run them back to back to back to back to back to back to back. And so he ran it, and I was like, that must be, I mean, this dude's flying across the country to run a race at this time of year. It must be good. It must be flat. It must be great weather. My brother lived there. I've been to Buffalo. The time I went is in like May, June, July. Is like the only time it's not snowing there. It's beautiful in those times. So I was like, yeah, I'll do Buffalo. So I signed up for it because of that. I was like, all right. And then at some point, I don't know when, I decided I was going to run it as Forrest Gump. It was an impulsive decision for sure. In retrospect, I don't lots of mistakes were made. Lots and lots of mistakes were made. So the one of which is, if you are listening and you are traveling to the East Coast for a marathon. Now Boston's different because Boston has such a late start time. So if Boston starts at 10 Eastern time, that's 9 Central time. I don't even run that late usually. I mean, I'm usually running much earlier. But Buffalo has a 6:30 a.m. start time, which means that's like it would start at 5:30 my time. So if I want to wake up a couple hours before the marathon starts, that means I would wake up 3:30 my time. And I mean, I flew in there Friday at midnight. I wasn't ready. And then I forgot my coffee. I made mistakes were made. A lot of mistakes were made for that one, and I didn't really budget. Now I hear all the time in marathon tip videos, especially ones where you're traveling Berlin, Tokyo. Oh, if you're traveling across time zones, give yourself X amount of days to adjust so you can get used to it. All these different things. And I'm like, I did, like, the thought never crossed my mind. Kind of naive. I just figure it out as I go. So I probably should have either run it as Forrest Gump and come up with a bunch of just tons of like bits to, engagement with the crowd, and, made it a really fun video, or a sub 3 attempt. And I tried to do both, and I don't think I did successfully either one of them. So lesson learned. All right. Long run shoe. I got the Super Blast 2. So my man Pedro sent me, out of the kindness of his heart, through the Supwell app, the Super Blast 2. And I want to say thank you, Pedro. I ran in the shoe one time. I sent him some other shoes just as a thank you, but like I did the ASICS Move Your Mind tour in Austin. I went up there and saw Kofuzi and then went for a run. And the shoes that I ran in, the Super Blast 2 on that day versus the one I ran in last weekend for 18 miles, are two different shoes. Now I know the Super Blast takes some time to break in, but the Super Blast 2s were amazing in Austin. The ones that I ran in that I just got that are newer, they need some break-in still. They're a bit firm, bit slappy, but still a great shoe. It is a shoe that I am going in my big aerobic base building block when I try to hit that Frank mileage, that high mileage, when the Ioana mileage, 100 plus in May, June, July. I'm probably going to rack up a ton of miles in this shoe, the Glizzy Max and the Super Blast 2. Frank says, I wonder why Nick Bear picked it out. No telling what's going on in that guy's head. But Rich P says, your Forrest video is epic, instant classic. I do know why I chose to do the Forrest Gump thing. I mean, I know because like when I ran Chicago and like that was the first good positive experience I had with the marathon. It was my second marathon. And I ran side by side with the Forrest. His beard was authentic. It was his real beard for from like mile 7 to mile 9 or 10. And he got sick crowd support. Now, Chicago, there's people on either side the whole time, and pretty much, I mean, there's a lot of crowd support in Chicago. And I was thinking, like, man, if I had that, that's I don't know what percent that's got to be worth like 1 1/3% of my overall time. Why forget wearing a hat and how hot that's probably going to make me or a fake beard. I'm like, I'm going to go ahead and get this extra crowd support by dressing up like Forrest. So that was the thought. It was not well thought out. It just was a thought, and then I acted on it. Need somebody to help with this impulse control. All right. And then the other one, man, I don't. I got a box. I don't get boxes. You got a box. Now it's downstairs, and I don't feel like going to get it. So I'll just tell you what's in the box. Hell of an unboxing. And it is the Cielo X1 1.0. This is not the 2.0. And it's my man Chris Minto off the Supple app. He posted it, and I said, "Man, I'm very interested in these shoes. 9.5. Does it fit like a 9?" And he said, "You know what? I'm just gonna send them to you. I'm a fanboy out." And I was like, "I can't accept that. That's too much." He said, "No, just let me do it." I was like, "Well, let me pay for the shipping." He said, "No, let me just send these to you." So in my mind, like those shoes, they're like $275. And so over the weekend, I knew between the Super Blast, Pedro sending me those, and then Chris sending me these, I was just like in this, like my kids could ask me for anything, and I would have been like, of course, yes. Just overwhelmed with gratitude to where I like, yeah, you can let's eat ice cream for dinner, whatever you want, buddy. I love you so much. So I'm gonna use the Cielo X1 for my long runs, but with a bunch of stuff in it. Stevie76 says Megan from Believe in the Run said it was her top 3 race shoe. The Cielo X1. I will say what excites me about it is there's not much of a heel. And even in the version 2, everyone seems to like compare it to the Wave Rebellion Pro 2, which is also like a midfooter's dream shoe, like it's meant for midfoot strikers. So I'm thinking like maybe that would be the long run midfoot striker shoe. So I'm not sure. So Alex Dominguez is in there. He says, "Welcome to the Cielo family. I just ran my first marathon in them. I love those shoes." Yeah, and I don't really mind heavy shoes. I don't like the SE Trainer, the version 1. Heavy shoe, lots of bounce. Love the bounce. Here for the bounce. Bouncy castle right under my feet. I love it. It's good. But yeah, anyway. Jason Horner's in here. He says, "Don't let them figure out that pattern, though. These kids see a new shoebox delivered, and they know it's about to be a yes day from dad." Yeah, we're house of yes. Sometimes we say house of yes, but I will say on a separate note, like on a personal note, I'm not trying to get like too self-serious, guys. But like some of those podcasts, they're like, I'm gonna start this podcast and it's just gonna be me, and I'm gonna be talking for like an hour. And I'm gonna tell you about leadership. I'm gonna tell you about what you should do. I have no idea, guys. Right. All I mean is that like whatever's going on through my brain, I'm just trying to share it. But I heard someone on a podcast talking about like this balance and being able to experience joy despite having a bunch of conflict in your life and having a bunch of stuff. And Like we all have a bunch of things going on in our life, that's turbulent or not comfortable or whatever. But then it's like, and for me, I'm never this run this morning has destroyed me. Sorry guys, hold on, I'm gonna clear my throat. But Stevie, I got I got 3 kids. Wow. We're just gonna end. I'm just gonna cough for the next 10 minutes and then I was gonna call it a day. But the older 2 are from the first marriage, which was like 15 years ago. And the oldest one is not even biologically mine. She came with the territory. She was one, dad was gone forever. And so biomom, like, she lasted maybe like a year or 2, and then she got into CPS, had to step in. It was not a great story. But I mean, I have them full time. And then a year and a half later, I met my wife. We've been together for like 9 years, long time. We had a baby. She had the baby actually, who is now 5. So we have a kindergartner through this second marriage, and the other 2 who are 14 and 12. Well, the oldest one, oh man, the oldest one has borderline personality disorder, just like biomom, just like her mom, just like her mom. And so, like with that is, and I tell you guys are the real ones. You're here, like like in on the other channel listening. So just give you a little bit more kind of like where I'm coming from, or what's going on. But so there's probably been like 7 inpatient stays in the last year and a couple hospitalizations. It's very turbulent, strong emotional reactions, can't really control. There's a lot, like I take off midweek and we go to therapy sessions and we do a lot of stuff. And it's a behavioral disorder. It's not like you just take some medication or anything. So my day-to-day life is very unpredictable, and then there's always stuff going on. Sometimes we miss live streams and do all those things. And so one of the things I struggle with is like I have all this stuff that brings me joy from like running and like YouTube, my wife, the other kids. And then I have all this like conflict and other stuff that's just like really turbulent. And I have a hard time leaning into the joy, right? But it's like part of me is like, no, you need to focus over here. It needs to be all the stuff. Well, I am focused over there. So it's really just allowing myself to kind of to feel all that stuff. But if I'm ever like not around or like not posting, that is usually that area of my life is kind of taken over. So Stevie 76 says CPS was not on my bingo card today. No surprise. Like, it could be Kevin Spacey stories. It could be like, um, get to know Andrew a little bit more on the bingo card, So Matt Byers in here, he says, at what point did your Indo Pro 3 start to lose their pop? Took mine out this morning for a workout and it felt a little flat at 118 miles. So I gave my Pro 3s away after 60 miles because their roll through, I think my arches are too, or I don't know, like I'm not flexible enough with my Achilles tendons. So I was doing the most mileage I had ever done last year after the Houston Marathon. I signed up for the Woodlands Marathon. I was doing the Revenge Tour, which I'm not going to do anymore. And I tried to do 3 or 4 80-mile weeks. And in the third 80-mile week, in the middle of my long run, I took my Indo Pro 3s out. And just the way it rolls me through, it just irritated my Achilles to where I had to stop the run. I think it's the only run I've ever stopped midway because I was like, this doesn't feel good. Went to the gym, put a lot of weight on the calf machine, straight legged, loaded the tendon. I was good the next day. So I gave those shoes away. It does have like a very aggressive push. And the propulsion for me came from the toe off and the firmness of the plate. So it wasn't really necessarily like a big pop shoe for me. The Speed 3, I gave away out 100 miles to a subscriber. I compared the Nova Blast 3, the Rebel V3, and the Speed 3. They're all daily trainers. I realized I wasn't going to run all of them to like 300 miles. So I gave the Speed 3 away because that one came in like third place for me. And that one, I love the Speed 1 and 2. Love it, love it, love it. I'm very much looking forward to the Speed 5 because I want to see if it returns to form. But the Speed 3 kind of bottomed out a little bit underneath the forefoot. And I could feel the foam like unilaterally across. If I just tapped down, I felt like the bounce and energy return of the shoe came back. So like at 5K paces, I think my coach had me running a long run. It's like a 16-mile long run. And like in the middle of it, 1 minute on, 1 minute off, like really fast. And when it would tap down, it was like it felt really good. I know you asked about the Pro 3, and here we are talking about the Speed 3, but I think it's worth talking about because they're going back to the mutant colorway. So that's a win. And then we'll just have to see. But I'm running out of reliable reviewers to watch because maybe I'll just watch the run testers. They'll tell me how it is. You know, everyone else is like talking me into it. Pegasus Premium, everyone talked me into that. It's not a good shoe for running. You know, I mean, it's okay. Yes, I got people slid into those comments. Every shoe is gonna have somebody who likes it. But like there needs to be somebody who just raises a flag and says, "Hey, just watch out for this one, okay? Like maybe not this one. Do what you want, but just like think about it, okay? Like maybe not." Just like you need people who are like, "Don't buy another shoe until you run in this shoe. I'm here for the hype. You need to buy this shoe." Right? So like most shoes just kind of land somewhere in between. So when a shoe's not good, like Believe in the Run, they said Pegasus Premium, yeah, it's heavy, but it's got a bounce you can't miss. You just don't want to miss out on this bounce. Ah, you can. Or like just somebody saying, yeah, it's bouncy, but like for the heel, but like for the forefoot, it's firm. So you want to did the 100-mile review of the Pegasus Premium. He loves that shoe, but he also admitted for like midfoot, it's firm. It's a firm shoe. It's a firm. This is just what I'm saying. Okay, so Matt Meyer says, I'm seriously considering on getting some Vaporfly 3s and running warehouse using the Supwell code for 163. I thought about that too, Matt. And then it's not like the Vaporfly 3 is a bad choice or like it just feels like a fish that's been left out and smells. It's not bad. It's not like, oh, I don't want to touch that. It's just it doesn't have that like goat status. You got to buy it. But like for 163, I mean, you get $100 off. It's like it's the price of a daily trainer. How could you not? You could at least train in it and it would be really great. What I always think is, am I going to repurpose that 163 and put it towards 260 for the Vaporfly 4, which are coming out maybe in March, something like that. So I think that's really the struggle, but I'm struggling to find very reliable reviewers that are going to tell me how it is. And they're going to say like, I'm very excited about this shoe, but like you shouldn't get it. Cause it's like, oh, okay, endorphin speed. But some stuff I could see through, right? When the Boston 12 came out, Boston's back, baby. It's like, okay, best Boston yet. And they made reviews like that for I know it felt like 2 years. Best on cloud yet. Best on cloud yet. Better than the one before. It's like, yeah, but is it any good? Should I buy it? Like, is it like what's it like? It's not saying much to be better than the Boston 10 and 11 if it's the Boston 12, right? So like the Boston 13 comes out better than the 12, Okay, but like what is it? So they said the Speed 3, Speed 4. I think Robbie said the Speed 4 is back. It's more like the 1 and 2. And I didn't run in it, but I don't hear a lot of other people saying that. So I don't know. Like I trust Kafuzi, especially when it's like what it's like to run in the shoe. And you'll see in this Metaspeed Edge Paris 200-mile review, he mentioned running in the Metaspeed Edge Paris. And the way it took him a while to figure out how to land, I address exactly that because I had 3 epiphanies between mile 100 and mile 200. I talked a little bit about it on one of these live streams, but it's in there. But I trust Kafuzi and I trust the run testers. There's enough of them, but some of them it just seems more like promotional. So I have a hard time figuring it out. And and it's so different too. Like Joanna's a heel striker and like a bigger runner. So I mean, if he likes a shoe, usually I'm like, oh, he loves the Boston 12. I probably won't like it. Or he loves the big premium. I should probably stay away. But then we both like the Zen because it doesn't matter where you land in the Zen, it feels good. Philip Watt says, pro versus speed, plate placement and forefoot. Speed is closer to the foot. Pro is closer to the outsole. Depends on how stable you like the shoe and whether you want to feel cushion or the plate. That's good to know. Rich P says 40 gave a brutally honest review of the Pegasus Premium. Awesome. That's good to know. Yeah, I haven't seen a 40 video in a long time. He must have fallen outside of my algorithm. It's weird. I forget I'm subscribed. If you're subscribed to a channel, the algo doesn't automatically put it in your feed. You have to like watch a content from that person. You have to like one of their videos, comment, watch, then they'll put it in your feed again. So unless I think, if I just think about this submersible catastrophic implosion, then now I'm going to see 4 videos on the oceanic disaster after this when I get on YouTube later because they're really there. But yeah, and then like I watched one Magnus Carlsen chess video, boom, now it's chess galore everywhere. I'm like, yeah, I watched one video, guys. Chill out, okay? Matt Byer says, really thinking the flexible nature of the Vaporfly would work well since I've been in the speed block and loving the Takumi Sen 10 and the Rival Fly 4. Yeah. I can't speak to the Vaporfly. That's a Sagasu question. The Vaporfly 2 I ran in, and that one was really, really propulsive and really aggressive. And I think the Takumi Sen is like an aggressive shoe with the full length carbon. So propulsion, it's like a blade of goodness underfoot. The Takumi Sen 10, I think, is great at threshold and faster paces. I still like the 8 for just the faster paces. And I also don't know about the Rival Fly 4, though. I think you may be talking me into it because it's so cheap right now. Frank Hillier says here, yeah, every on review is like that. This on is finally the good one. Yeah, they're like that. And then Hyperion. So like you get to know everyone's biases. I was going to talk to Tim Gross today, and I was talking to him we're going to talk next week, but I was going to ask him about his biases and what that's like. And like I feel like I know if you watch a reviewer long enough, like Kafuzi has a bias against brands that, well, not brands, but like if a specific shoe isn't marketed well or could have been marketed better where it's confusing to the rotation, I don't think it'll affect his overall review, but he always like makes a note of it. Why come out with this on cloud hyper when the on cloud monster 2 just came out and there's this and that, but let's see here. I gotta send these off. Okay. All right. So, yeah, ons like that. There's a few. I'm gonna try a few off brands, by the way, guys. X Step. There's another one. There's a few companies that were in my inbox, and my goal is to take these other companies that you and I would never spend money on because we already have the big pod of ASICS, Nike, not Reebok, Adidas, whatever it is. It's like I'm not going to go spit like Topo. Okay, maybe, but like, what are these X Step? What are these other shoes? So I'm going to like run in their best shoes, and then I want to say like it's like this brand and this shoe, but it's like, but better or not better, or what, like I want to translate what those other shoes are, because I run in those and I can, and I don't have to pay for them. So, but that's all going to be like after Boston. So um Frank said the problem with ZoomX, it doesn't last long enough to make it a daily. I would agree with that. Alex is in here. He says, my experience exactly, Frank. I had to retire my ZoomX before they hit 200 miles. JBS says, got to go for my dinner. Take care and have a great week running. Thanks, JBS. JBS sent me the Boston medal came out. So getting excited for that. Looks good. Yeah. Jason says, thanks for sharing a bit more about your personal life. I'm sure it's not easy to be open like that. Have a great rest of the week, y'all. Yeah, Jason, it's part of the thing, man. I just gonna be genuine and share. Nobody's I mean, they technically send me shoes, but it's like I'm here to share my experiences. You figured I'll share the entire experience. Some people have boundaries with that, like SJD, he's got a lot going on. And he was real cryptic, and then he just retires from YouTube one day, and then he alludes to all this family stuff. He never really talks about it. He doesn't have to talk about it. It's his life. He can do whatever he wants. But, I just thought I would, kind of share with, what's going on, and being transparent with it. So I'm learning just along with you guys. I appreciate you all being here and talking about the shoes. Did we even get through? I think we ended up getting through. Yeah, we did the long run with the CLOX one. So next week, we'll talk about what that actual first run was like. This Sunday, we're going to do the 200-mile review of the ASICS shoe. And then I sat down with Nate Pennington, 219 marathoner. He was one of the first guys that was on YouTube, being my virtual coach, my YouTube coach, a long time ago. So I got to talk to him about what shoes he ran in. His 219. He sent me pictures. I think they were Takumi's, like Takumi ones or something. And he ran a 219, and that's got to be good for like a couple minutes in today's world. But as Stevie 76 says, I think SGD got burned out. Yeah, I mean, you burn out 6 kids not doing YouTube. I only got 3, and it gets exponential with each one you add, in my experience anyway. So I don't know how sustainable it is. It's a miracle I get one of these out, and a couple of my kids are grown, and I've got a very supportive and loving family that lets me do this. So, it's a lot of stuff. So Frank's in here. He says, just having a day job and doing a training block is hard enough. Adding YouTube and actual life is really hard. Yeah. And running to me is such a great joy. Just, I wake up as an introvert, and I get spiritually centered, emotionally centered. I drink some coffee, then I go run. I get physically centered, and it charges me up for the day. And I go, whether I'm training or not. It's a big source of joy for me. And then when I am training, it's like I'm working towards something. So I have this purpose. That is a cause of joy also. And so, like YouTube then falls on the last little bit. On like, I'll sleep in to get more recovery and skip a YouTube posting for a day, just because that's kind of where it falls. But I'm also not trying to make a living doing it. So it's not like trying to be like a full-time YouTuber and connecting you to the stuff and all these things. So anyway, rambling on, 4 minutes over. Will you see you next week, guys?